Hey, what is up y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Build With Me. In today's episode, we're going to go ahead and build something I've never built before in Minecraft. I'm going to build one of the things I've always wanted to build, and that is an eye. Eyes are so cool. So let's go ahead and get into it. I think y'all will enjoy this episode. And yes, Build With Me is back, baby. Alright then, let's go ahead and get straight into it. First off, we're going to go ahead and figure out where we're going to build the eye, and I figured we might as well build it up in the sky because, you know, that just seems reasonable for some kind of pixel art. Once we have the basic idea, we're going to go ahead and build a rectangle because we want to build an eye. And if we're going to build an eye, we just need to have a basic shape, and eyes are basically rectangular. So we build a rectangle, and then we're going to figure out where the pupil's going to be, because that's the center of the eye. The center of the eye is known as the window to our soul. And once we have where the pupil is, we can start figuring out what the shape of the eye is. So of course we're going to start breaking it around it to figure out the shape, and we're going to just basically make another, I guess, more of a parallelogram. And we're just going to fill it in with white eventually. But once we get the basic shape, we're going to want to build the square up into a more organic shape. For example, a circular object. We wanted to make it more organic so that way that the eye looks more natural, and I think this looks better. Of course, you don't really need to do it, but again, it just kind of helps with the feel of the eye. Next up, we're going to want to go ahead and start filling in the outline with some kind of darker color. In this case, I'm going to go for a color that's darker than the skin tone. In this case, I'm using sandstone, so birch would be the darker color. Then I'm going to go ahead and start filling in the actual central section of the eye with the white. Of course, you can go for a different color block, but I like smooth quartz. I think it's a really nice white. And once you fill this in, we can start working on the next aspect of this build. Look at this. The shape is already starting to take place. It's very naked though. Next up, we got one of the harder aspects of this project. We need to start going ahead and adding in the eyelashes or whatever. And this one you get to play around because I want to have like brown hair color. I'm going to go ahead and use dark oak. I'm going to use it to start covering up parts of this build here and leave a little bit of the birch. I'm also mixing the stairs with the slabs and the trapdoors because different shapes, different heights, all this kind of stuff makes the eye look more realistic. Let's see. I don't really know how to explain this, but it's kind of one of those processes you just kind of have to get used to. The main thing I'm starting off here is just the basic outline of the eye, because that's where I usually start. I like to build the outline first and then start moving on to the actual eyelashes and that kind of stuff. But I guess in this case, I wanted to go ahead and start adding in some of the shading because I wanted to see how it looked. In this case, for my shading, I wanted to use diorite and andesite. Andesite's like a darker version of white since it's a gray, and diorite is like a nice darker white. We can also use white concrete powder for a lighter tone, which I'm going to put down here at the bottom. The reason I'm putting the lighter ones at the bottom and the darker ones at the top is because the eyelashes tend to cover and darken the upper portion of your eye. The lower portion is usually not covered by the darkness of the eyelash, so it's going to be a little bit lighter. So now we're going to go ahead and start adding in some of the eyelashes, which again is going to be a little bit of a process, which you're going to have to just practice and see what is good and what is not. It might be hard to tell, but this process right here took a serious amount of time. It was a lot of trial and error, and I just had to kind of figure out what I had to do. When drawing an eye, one of the things you have to realize is the fact that the eyelashes will go in a specific direction. For example, in this case, the ones on the left will lean towards the left, while the ones on the right will start leaning towards the right. We'll also have to focus on the, you know, I've never really known what these things are called, but like the bottom eyelashes, like whatever that's called. We also have to add those. And yeah, we also want to start focusing on the detailing of the eye itself. Once the pupil is detailed, we can start to get a little bit of a sense of life within the eye. And once we have life in the eye, we can add in these highlights, and suddenly this starts feeling amazing. I love this. Shading is going to be the biggest portion of this process for when you shade the whites of your eye to the skin around it, or even shaping the eyelashes themselves. In this case, I want to focus on the shading because shading is pretty integral to making an eye look realistic. And one of the techniques I'm going to use here is these glass panes. By using light glass panes, I can darken the look of a certain color in this build. For example, the smooth quartz, I want to darken it ever so slightly, so I'm going to cover it with these glass panes, and it's going to be slightly darker while retaining a little bit of the original color. I also want to bring in a skin tone color block, which is slightly darker than the birch itself. This time I'm bringing in some jungle just above the eyelash. That way we can give some sort of semblance to the eyelid. Man, I'm both learning a whole another software again because I switched from using Premiere to DaVinci for this specific video just to see how it works. And I haven't done a video like this in forever, so this is a lot of new things for me, so do forgive me if anything seems a little bit different than my normal videos. Of course, it's going to be different from what I've been posting recently, since most of those have been SMPs. But anyways, let's get back to what I'm talking about. I want to go ahead and bring in a little bit of an eyebrow, that way we can, you know, get more of a natural eye. Brought in some more of those glass panes to give the idea of darkness. Now you may be questioning why it's only a singular line and why it looks so off. Well, I'll fix that in a little bit. First, I want to add a little bit of shaping to the eyebrow. And I'm going to bring in some of these stairs, and then I can get some of that hair look, and I think that looks pretty good. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below at this point. Let's go ahead and take that birch that I had earlier and start filling in this little section here. We're finally going to bring in that shading, and this shading is going to tie both the glass panes and the birch together. This might take a little bit longer than I thought, but yeah, just keep placing these blocks. Anyways, we're almost done with this process. Now we just got to bring in a little bit of highlighting to the rest of the face, and we're going to be done. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bring in this white concrete powder again for the face because it's ever so slightly a lighter shade of the skin tone. I'm also bringing in some sand because it's a nice light color, and it, well, actually, I guess it could be seen as lighter. It could also be seen as darker. I'm not really sure where it is on the spectrum of color, but you know, it's nice. But I'm just using this to help soften the look of the eye itself. And I'm also going to use this as a bit of a shading underneath the this section right here to give an indication of a nose. That's what this section is for, because it's the, I don't remember the exact terminology, but I think it's called the bridge of the nose. That's what that's supposed to be. Anyways, let's go ahead and get to a tour of what this is going to be. Let's go ahead and take a quick step back to get a nice, beautiful look at this build. Oh man, I love this piece of art right here. It's beautiful, and it looks like what I would draw. Man, I was able to bring my drawing into Minecraft through Minecraft. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm just so happy I built this. Man, out of curiosity, I wanted to go ahead and check out what the eye looks like with shaders. Yeah, ever since I got access to shaders, of course I'm going to abuse it. Look at this. Oh, the eye looks amazing. I absolutely love how the shadows just reflect it properly. Look, even the shading that I did, it kind of reflects the shadows properly. Look at that. The darkness right along here. This part should have been a little bit brighter, but I think that's about right. There's the darkness here, which I did add. The darkness around the eyes. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, the eyelashes is a little bit of an if, but man, world looks beautiful. Considering this is the first building video I've done in a really long time, I'm glad to be back. So thank you all for watching, and of course, have a good one, y'all. Get a look at this beautiful eye. But seriously, take one final good look at it before I say goodbye. Goodbye!